and welcome to this special edition of Greater Somerville. I'm Cayenne Anderson. Tonight's topic, development in Union Square. In preparation for the arrival of the new Green Line station in 2017, the Somerville Redevelopment Authority is in a search of a master developer to oversee the revitalization of 7 large land parcels located in the heart of Union Square. With many local residents and business owners concerned about how this long-term development will impact the culture and vibrancy of the gritty square we all know and love, the importance of this selection process becomes quite clear. Tonight, we talk with Magellan Development, or US2, one of the 4 remaining teams vying for this master developer role, to find out their long-term visions for Union Square should they be selected in May. So please join me in welcoming Greg Karczewski, David Hassin, and Deborah Fennick to the show. Welcome to Greater Somerville.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kaya.
So let's just get right to it. We have a lot going on in tonight's program. So I definitely, I want to learn a little bit more about your team, the structure of the team, how you kind of came to be, and how you landed in Somerville.
Sure. First of all, on behalf of our entire team, it's a pleasure to be here with you today and to be able to share kind of some of our insights about a very important project to your community, and we're thrilled to be here. In terms of our entire team, I'm the project director of development for the US2 team, and we're composed in a way where we've combined great national expertise in two Chicago development firms with a tremendous amount of local expertise. We really have surrounded ourselves with best-in-class folks from around the community that are going to contribute to our team. In terms of why someone from Chicago might be interested in being here in Somerville, it's a pretty natural thing for us. We, both our firm and Magellan have focused on community-based development in complex urban projects. And we're attracted to those types of opportunities because we feel like it's a place where we can really bring some value. And so that's why this project in Somerville initially attracted us. As we've learned more about it, we've become more interested. And the reason we've become more interested is really twofold. One is the authenticity of what's already here. There's such a great, vibrant community in terms of different ethnic groups being represented, maker spaces, innovation areas, an incredible restaurant community that's become a destination really for the area. So all those assets are something that we look at and say, wow, this is fantastic. This is something that we can help accentuate and really build upon. I think the other thing that's really important to us when we make a decision to come into a new community is the leadership and the passion of the residents in the community. And it's been very clear to us that the time that we've spent here, that there's a very passionate group of folks here in Somerville, and that's going to contribute directly to the results of the project. And there's great leadership. The mayor has worked very hard at getting the transit stop here, which is going to be an incredible catalyst for the area. So those are some of the reasons why we think, why it makes sense for us to come here and work on this great project. And I'll defer to my colleagues here to give a little bit of introduction about their roles in the project.
Well, my name is David Hassin, and I'm an architect, and I'm part of a really amazing architect team that has been assembled for this project. I think it's one of the things that really distinguishes our team is that, and I'm really excited that that the development team recognized the fact that great places are made not with a single solitary vision, but in collaboration and in dialogue, not just with the community, but with having a lot of diverse professionals coming together and creating something special. I think when we think about the places in our area, in the Cambridge, Somerville, Boston area that are really special, they have real character to them. They have real diversity. They have layers. They've been influenced by many people over the course of a longer period of time. And I think that our team brings 4 design firms, all of them best in class, including Nada, Howler and Yoon, Studio Gang, and our firm, Hassin and Associates, that are located in Boston South End, together. And one of the great things about that is we know each other. For years, we're really looking forward to collaborating together. We often joke that it's ironic that it took a firm from Chicago to bring us all together around a space that, as we've been working together, we realize we all have real connections to Union Square, and it's really been a wonderful dialogue. So that's one of the important principles, I think, for our team, is that we really see collaboration and dialogue, not just amongst ourselves, but with the community as a very important principle. In my practice, we've done a lot of work in redeveloping Boston's South End along Washington Street. And I'm a big believer in what I call incremental urban design, which is rather than one big sweeping vision, something that actually works with the texture of the community and thinks about things not just at the scale of housing, but also at the scale of the restaurant, of the merchant, of the park bench. Thinking about all of those pieces coming together and how all of those things actually can make transformation that feels more organic and more authentic than a vision that's imposed that could be from anywhere, you know, and that's definitely what this team does not want to do, and I think that's one of the things that's so exciting about it. We also believe that a great space is made up of lots of different kinds of architecture, different materials and different influences, and you can't really do that easily with one architecture firm, and that's one of the things that I think our team also brings is a diversity of firms with diversity of approaches that we think will enhance Union Square as it develops. And I think one of our last architectural principles really is this idea of sustainability, but not just green sustainability, not just checking off the things that we know we have to do to be good citizens about making spaces that are green and sustainable for the long term in terms of the environment, but also in terms of building a community that is going to be sustainable over the long term for the people that live there. A place where you can raise a family, but also a place where you can grow old, a place where people who are doing well can live, but also a place where people who aren't doing quite as well can also live. That was very much my experience working in the redevelopment of Washington Street in the South End, where we've done everything from transitional housing, artist housing, condominiums, loft housing, and I think we're committed to sort of doing a real blend here as well. And I have to say that on Washington Street, it was the coming of the Silver Line that was really the catalyst for so much of the development that took place there. And it has really been not just a connector, a crossroad, making a crossroads for making the neighborhood, connecting the neighborhood to other neighborhoods, but also creating foot traffic and for retailers and doing all kinds of important things. And I'm so thrilled to be on this team with Deborah as well, who knows Somerville so well as a resident, and I think she can probably speak to those issues even better than I can.
Yes, and the Green Line will not only be a catalyst for this project and that transit connection. You know, one of the reasons that development in Union Square, one of the things that's making, providing the promise for development here, but it's more, the transportation issue is really more than the Green Line. It has to do with connectivity of buses, and the bus stops near the transit will activate development, and development will activate and make more rich those connections. Very much, many of the principles of the Summer Vision have to do with transportation and connectivity and mobility. Managing the car, but providing livable streets, great bicycle connections, wider sidewalks, more accessible connections between things. So it feels very much a part of what supports the Summer Vision. I also wanted to comment, as a Somerville resident, somebody who's been active in the community on the Design Review Committee and Zoning Advisory and all. I've seen a lot of development happening in Somerville, and I feel like the structure of the team before the city of Somerville is really structured in a way to support the Summer Vision. And I think the idea of incremental development, that it's a very hard thing to achieve, and many communities try to do this with large-scale development. And I think this is just a really wonderful idea about how to accomplish that.
I think one of the things that that is a core principle of the way we go about development is really we look at each situation and build a team around that situation. And so we've collected a team that is very specific to this situation and challenge here really in Somerville. And you can hear from the passion from both Deborah and David. We feel like it's a team that can deliver a solution that caters to the special objectives of the community here in Somerville. And I think we've been able to do that on a number of other projects, a number of other urban projects. Glenview Naval Air Station, we converted a former naval base into a brand new development. There was an area around UIC's campus in Chicago where we redeveloped that area in a very community-based approach. So we have expertise in pulling this team together and delivering a solution. And it's not going to be a branded solution. It's going to be unique to Somerville and the fabric of Somerville. The other thing I think about our philosophy that's important to talk about is that really we start with people. We start with people before buildings. And it's important to us that the project ends up being a reflection of what the residents and businesses in Somerville envision for Union Square. And so, so far as and I have to admit that the more and more we engage as a team and we engage with the community, the more excited we get about this project. We've spent time in the community, trying to identify the things that are important to different constituencies in the community. So we actually went out, and the architects on our team went out and did a business walk and talked to a number of the businesses in the community and really learned some great information. There's definitely a need for more of a lunchtime atmosphere here in Somerville. So the idea of office contributing to that was a big piece of what they were interested in. We also we did a poll where we polled over 250 residences through a telephone poll and learned kind of what uses were most important to some of the residents. And they highlighted, hey, expand the existing retail, continue to build that retail base. That's important to us. They also said, hey, we want a range of housing alternatives. Those are all pieces, it's a start of a process for us, but a way to initially get some feedback from the community so that we can start to build a dialogue with the community about how to start to take this project and shape it. It's a tremendous opportunity, and we realize that the community probably has some apprehension, right? With change comes a little bit of stress, and we feel like we're in a great position to be the partner for the community that can help balance the various forces that are going to be at play in the development and deliver something that really lives up to the expectations of everybody involved.
Okay, well, getting right into our question, that was a great segue. So I've compiled a list of questions from the Citizens Advisory Committee, which for some of the viewers at home, there's a Citizens Advisory Committee that was designated by the SRA, or the Somerville Redevelopment Authority, to help with the selection. They are an advisory role only, but they provide their input in terms of each team, and then the SRA is who makes the final decision at City Hall. So with that, I'd like to just start with a few questions. So many would question, or have questioned rather, an out-of-state firm and their inability to familiarize themselves with the local fabric and concerns of the community, and as well as their long-term commitment. What would you say to respond to this concern?
Sure. I'd love to respond to that concern. First of all, this project for me is right in an area of passion for me. I've been doing development for 20 years. I am very, very personally interested in how a mix of uses can help a local community grow, and how a mix of uses can expand a local economy. I actually spent a year in a fellowship with World Business Chicago, which is the economic development arm of the city of Chicago, and that really kind of shapes my perspective, looking at a real estate project. So for me, it's an incredible opportunity personally to be involved in a project like this, and my wife and I and our two sons would move here to the community and be part of the community as part of the project. I think the other thing is, in terms of the impetus of this project, my two other partners, Richie Stein on the development side, he has two daughters here and several grandchildren, and he's out here, he spends half of his time essentially in Boston. So for 15 years, he's been a part-time resident here in Boston, has been trying to get a project going. In the same way, Jim Lowenberg, our other partner, is a graduate of MIT School of Architecture. So, although we're from Chicago, we have very significant roots here, and we're willing to make a significant commitment, both personally and from our firm's perspective, in delivering on this project.
And actually, could I add something to that?
Sure.
I think that sometimes it takes someone from out of town to see something special about the place that you know so well. And I think that one of the things that's really impressed me about the team is in fact, in assembling the architectural team and the sort of custom design team that they've put together for this project, it is actually because they really understand that Union Square is a special place, and that it's not like other places, and that the solution has to fit those special circumstances. I think there are communities and towns all over the country who are fighting the idea of just becoming another place. You know, the forces of national development that can, you know, turn a place into something not as special as it is. And this team is interested and dedicated to doing exactly the opposite. And so I think that that's, you know, sometimes, you know, someone comes in from out of town and says something about something, and you go, yeah, that's right. I never thought about it that way.
Building that you walk by every day. You don't
That's
really
right.
think about
That's right.
Good
So
way-
I think
good way to
that
put it.
that's an exciting part of the team as well.
Okay, next question. The CAC mentioned how the success of this project is related to the ability for the development team to implement adaptive reuse into their philosophies. Do you have an example of a project that would reflect these characteristics in a similar size or scale of Union Square?
I think we have several examples. You know, I can give you an example of some of the work that we've done, but the project that I mentioned around University Village in Chicago, there were 21 structures that we, you know, adaptively reused for the purposes of a retail and kind of commercial core of that project. So, you know, you know, and you can imagine with the transformation of a naval air station that there were a lot of buildings included in that project that we looked at reusing. So, you know, we've had a lot of experience with that, and I know David locally, maybe you can speak to some of the work that you've done.
Yeah, no, we actually have a lot of experience with adaptive reuse, as do other members of our team. And I think that one of the things that gets to that issue of sustainability that I was talking about, flexibility, buildings that can change and adapt to different uses over time. It's the story of the Loft building, right? That was a factory, and then it became artist space, and then it became residences. We've done a lot of those projects throughout the city. Nada, another member of our team, has done an incredible project of renovating this beautiful older office building lobby in downtown Providence into the library for RISD. And won all kinds of awards for it. It became a real anchor for the community and a real symbol of revitalization for downtown Providence. So, you know, there's no question that this is not about clearing the slate. It's about looking at the assets that are here, trying to figure out how they can be adapted. Deborah and I, you and I were just talking about the idea.
Yeah, we have an idea for the D2 block to take some of those industrial buildings, and day one with this project, cleaning them up, painting them, doing some transformative thing to them, but use them as sort of an anchor for the development team and a place, a center for the community to start to become involved with the master planning effort, sort of a home for performance space or a temporary gallery space. You know, just take a couple of simple buildings, perhaps capture some of the outside space around them and activate the site from day one.
We were the architects for District Hall, which just opened in the Innovation District, which is sort of an idea hall, mixed use sort of collaborative space for restaurant uses, but also just kind of like a library community space for the 21st century. And I think we were thinking that could be an incredible way to send a message to the entire community that great things are going to happen here.
Yeah, an idea center.
Yeah.
Nice. Environmental responsibility has become a critical part of large-scale development, and it was noted by the CAC as an important piece to this project. In your presentation, you noted having experience working with net zero. Can you describe how your sustainable design principles might be implemented in the master plan of Union Square?
Sure. I think it's a great question. It's important to us. I mean, I think if you were to query our whole team, you'd find that all of us have made sustainability an important part of the way we go about doing the different components of our work. But we really have identified within our team Stantec, a group from Stantec out of Vancouver that is really kind of globally recognized in sustainability. They actually did a lot of work on the Olympic Village that Vancouver had, which was very progressive in terms of its sustainability. And we actually queried Mass Clean Energy locally to kind of understand, you know, statewide where are the new things happening? How is the state looking at clean energy? I understand Massachusetts was just awarded, the #1 state in terms of its progressiveness around sustainability. And, you know, one of the things that came back from that conversation was really a focus on district-wide approaches. And we were delighted to hear that, because in our conversations with our colleagues from Vancouver, you know, they really said, the approach to this project is to take a neighborhood-wide approach to sustainability and develop a framework around that. And that, that includes transit components as well as, district energy solutions, and then to drill into and building efficiency, which is, I think, kind of the way people normally think about sustainability. So, it's going to be a very important part of what we do going forward. That group in Vancouver has done, several net zero buildings, I think 8, and so, they're going to bring that expertise to the table on this project.
Okay. In your CAC presentation, you mentioned that homogeneity is your enemy. Yet too often, large-scale developments tend to have a very vanilla aesthetic to them. How do you feel your firm will prevent this from happening, and why do you think it is important to maintain the gritty nature of Union Square that currently exists?
I think we're structured, as David mentioned earlier, by bringing a master planning perspective from Stantec as well as the 4 architecture firms and a landscape firm to provide a tapestry of viewpoints kind of coming into the development. So we're really structured to address just that, and I'll let David kind of describe.
No, I really like that idea of a tapestry of viewpoints, because I mean, I think that you're so right. The question is actually a very, very good question, especially for a place like Union Square, which has this sort of character of accrual, of a place that's grown up over time, that has historic buildings, but also wants to be progressive and thinking about the future and send messages about where the community is going. And I think that homogeneity is the enemy, not just here in Union Square, but actually in a lot of places. I think that, on Washington Street, that was in the South End, that was a project that everyone also bought into in that community, where there was a really big artist community there, and there was real concern about it taking on a completely different feeling. And if you go there today, you can see how it's a historic street that grew up over centuries, and it still feels like a historic street that grew up over centuries. It doesn't feel like the development that took place over the last 10 years in any way pushed aside all the development that led up to that moment, and by the way, all the development that will take place in the future after we're all gone. So
I think that, maybe if I can tag on to that, I think that you can think about homogeneity from an architecture perspective, but I think it's also the businesses inside the spaces that are important. So we've spent a fair amount of time looking at the retail submarket as well as the office submarket. In a way, on the retail side, we feel like it's this has been a place where retailers have been willing to take risk. And because of that, you've generated some great independent retailers. And so we want to find a way to structure the development in a way that we reserve some spaces for retailers to be able to continue to take those risks. We also want to support the retailers that are in the square. We think it's there's a number of ways that could use support. Maybe it's in some cases refurbishing part of their storefront. In other cases, it might be you working with Main Streets or the economic development group at the city to provide them the business support to really capture the opportunity that's at hand. And I think on the retail side, or on the office side, the seeds of innovation are here. You have Greentown Labs. You have the knowledge workforce here that's a key to innovation. Everybody in the city is clamoring to get access to this workforce. And we've really started to think about how can we create a continuum of office spaces here in Somerville that would allow a company to start as an incubator and grow into, we say, incubator to Inc., so incubator to incorporated. And we were working with T3 Advisors. They're we've had several discussions with them. They have an office in Palo Alto and an office here in Boston. They represent a lot of these innovative emerging companies, and we've been working very closely with them to figure out how we can provide a continuum of spaces that will grow with these tenants.
And we've got a couple minutes here, so we're just going to go one quick final question. Favorite piece of Union Square culture and why? Deborah, we'll start with you.
Oh,
since you're the local.
There's
so,
so much here. From the micro museum, the smallest museum, to
the radiators. I love the radiators.
The radiators, absolutely. But
things like that.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Actually,
people know what I'm talking about, though.
Dancing at Casa Beat. Yes.
Well, I'm a foodie, so I admit. So I have enjoyed many of the restaurants here in Union Square, and in fact, I have a reservation at 7 o'clock tonight at Bronwyn.
Oh, look at you! Very efficient.
Yes, I am, and we're bringing
Always
friends
planning.
from another neighborhood so that they can experience it too, because we think it's such a great place. So I think I wouldn't want to prejudice any one particular restaurant, but because there are so many good ones in this area of all different kinds and all different kinds of food that are sort of haute and kind of more just good quality ethnic food. So I think there are many landmarks for me, many local landmarks.
One of the reasons why is Kitchens Inc., which is Kitchen Inc., is an incubator for all these, a lot of innovative culinary expertise. It's really fantastic to see how it's growing, but that's the reason why people like you come here. How about you?
You know, I think I'm a bit of a gardener, so I'm passionate about that. And I was at Ricky's earlier today and got to see his operation a little bit. And I know he's a landmark in the community and the way, kind of a central part of what's happening here. And so to me, that's kind of an interesting piece of the mix of people here in Somerville.
I bought my very first Christmas tree at Ricky's 25 years ago, I think.
And he's still there while you're now. He's going to get mad at you.
He's an institution.
He's
an institution.
And I'll admit, we've gone farming at the Radiator stores.
Radiator store.
Got
to make sure some sort of like bench. We can make a bench out of Radiator. So thank you very much. So I would like to thank our guests tonight for representing the Magellan Development US2 team for taking the time to speak with Greater Somerville about their team visions for Union Square. As the Somerville Redevelopment Authority approaches their final decision for the master developer next month, I urge all of you to stay engaged with this selection process. With the magnitude of land slated for redevelopment over the next 15 years, Somerville residents mustn't turn a blind eye to this process. We must educate ourselves on the 4 remaining candidates and express those opinions to the City Hall to assure the right fit for Somerville community is selected by the SRA. Best of luck to the Magellan Development Team, or US2, in the weeks ahead. Until next time, thank you to the viewers at home for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay informed. Good night, everyone.